Welcome to BookPilot, your destination for powerful ideas from the world's most impactful books. Today we're unpacking a truly universal and, honestly, kind of panic-inducing problem, the psychology of forgetting names. We're going to synthesize some of the most profound psychological frameworks out there to figure out exactly why this happens, what it says about our inner lives, and why it matters so much more than you might think.
Picture this. You walk up to someone with absolute total confidence. They introduce themselves, and literally seconds later, their name just vanishes. It's completely gone. You feel that quiet rush of panic, right? You remember their face, you remember what they were wearing, maybe even the exact conversation you had last time, but the one piece of information society expects you to remember simply disappears. So you end up doing that awkward dance, smiling, throwing out a "hey man" or "nice to see you," just praying they don't notice your hesitation. But afterward, your internal monologue kicks in. You start thinking, why does this keep happening? Is my memory getting worse? It's incredibly ironic, isn't it? You can effortlessly remember hundreds of song lyrics from a decade ago, obscure childhood memories, and a dozen complicated passwords. Yet a simple name spoken seconds ago slips right through your fingers like water.
Okay, let's dive into this, because what's actually happening in your brain here is a massive plot twist. We are so quick to rely on what we can call the surface excuse. We tell people, oh, I just have a terrible memory, or I'm just so overwhelmed and busy right now, or maybe we just blame getting older. But the hidden truth, it has absolutely nothing to do with your brain's storage capacity or your intelligence. It's actually about your unconscious mind quietly making emotional priorities for you without you even realizing it.
Let's define exactly what that means. Unconscious attention is basically your mind's silent filtering system. It automatically grabs onto and preserves what feels emotionally significant, while letting other pieces of data just fade into the background. Think of it like this. Your inner world is in constant competition with the outer world. While someone is standing right in front of you introducing themselves, a hidden part of your mind is secretly evaluating, am I safe here? Will I be accepted? Do I actually belong in this room? Because your brain is so busy running that emotional background check, your attention never actually arrives at their name.
To really elevate this concept, we can look at the pioneering psychologist Alfred Adler. He had this brilliant theory that humans are deeply, profoundly driven by an intense need for significance and belonging. When those needs are triggered, say when you're meeting your partner's family for the first time, or being introduced to a new boss, your mind dramatically shifts gears. It actually stops observing the other person and starts intensely monitoring yourself. We essentially sacrifice genuine connection to preserve our own ego security. You're standing there wondering, am I making a good impression, instead of actually listening to who they are.
To truly understand this, we have to trace this self-monitoring habit all the way back to childhood. As kids, we don't just absorb information, we absorb emotional patterns. If you grew up having to navigate uncertainty, or managing unpredictable approval, or if affection was heavily tied to how well you performed, your nervous system learned a really crucial lesson. It learned to prioritize emotional survival. It learned to read invisible emotional tension in a room over freely and safely observing the world around you.
Greek mythology actually gives us a really powerful lens for this, and this brilliantly illustrates how we operate today through the myth of Narcissus. People usually think this story is just a basic warning about vanity, but psychologically speaking, it hits on something far deeper. Narcissus became so totally captivated by his own reflection that the living world around him simply faded away. Our modern anxieties do the exact same thing. We get trapped inside our own reflection, our fears, our self-image, this endless loop of self-evaluation, and the actual living people standing right in front of us literally blur out of focus.
This whole self-protection mechanism ultimately locks us into four major psychological memory traps. First, we treat forgetting as a cognitive flaw, and the hidden cost there is deep embarrassment and self-consciousness. Second, we mistake familiarity for connection. We recognize a face and think we're connected, leaving our relationships completely shallow. Third, the fear of mistakes. You hype yourself up, telling yourself, don't forget their name this time, but that anticipatory anxiety, ironically, narrows your attention so much that you just end up monitoring your performance again. And fourth, reducing people to roles. Labeling someone just as the manager or the neighbor objectifies them and strips away the emotional distinction your memory actually needs.
So, what does this all mean? The crucial point is this. Believing you are simply terrible with names is a learned defense mechanism. It is absolutely not a permanent personality trait. As the legendary Carl Jung profoundly noted, until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Every single time you tell someone you have a terrible memory for names, you are letting an unconscious habit dictate your identity. Waking up and gaining awareness is the absolute first key to changing this cycle.
So, how do we actually break out of this? How do we shift our attention away from internal performance and back to external presence? Well, I'm going to give you a clear 3-step roadmap. Because when your attention changes, your memory naturally follows right behind it. Step 1, replace performance with presence. Step 2, slow the pace of your inner world. And step 3, redefine what forgetting means.
Let's detail that first step. You must choose curiosity over self-evaluation. The next time you meet someone, you have to catch yourself silently asking if you belong in the room or if you sound impressive, and just stop. Instead, become genuinely curious about the human being standing in front of you. Listen to the actual rhythm of their voice. Notice their enthusiasm. You need to give your memory something emotionally real to attach itself to. The mind rarely remembers raw information in isolation. It remembers authentic experiences.
Step 2 is beautifully captured by this wisdom from psychiatrist Viktor Frankl. He said, "Between stimulus and response lies a space where freedom exists." Modern life constantly rewards us for rushing, but your unconscious mind simply cannot form meaningful connections if it's already racing ahead to tomorrow's worries. Taking just a brief, intentional pause from the rush of your inner world allows you to inhabit that space of freedom. In that tiny gap, you can consciously choose connection over automatic self-protection.
And step 3 involves totally redefining what it means to forget. Because, let's be real, you are inevitably going to forget a name again. We are all human. But when you do not let shame take over. Actually, scratch that. Don't criticize yourself at all. Instead, replace that criticism with a really powerful question. What is my mind trying to protect right now? Were you feeling intimidated? Were you exhausted? Desperate to be accepted? Asking this uncovers your hidden psychological patterns instead of just punishing yourself for them.
Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway here. Remembering names was never actually about brain training, downloading memory hacks, or just forcing yourself to try harder. It is about mastering the rare, incredibly beautiful art of being fully present with another human being. When your unconscious learns that the world isn't constantly judging you, it finally releases the need to monitor your own reflection. That genuine human presence, that is the foundation of the deepest memory.
So I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. The next time a stranger extends their hand to introduce themselves, notice exactly where your attention goes. Will you choose to perform, or will you choose to be present? When we remain trapped inside our own fears, we miss countless opportunities to truly know the incredible people around us. Perhaps the greatest regret isn't forgetting someone's name, but forgetting to be fully present while they were standing right in front of us. If you enjoyed this audiobook summary and want to discover more powerful ideas from great books, subscribe to BookPilot and stay tuned for more.